Good morning. College football kicks off today. Hope you're doing great. David Locke along with you. Thanks so much for tuning in to what I refer to as the tip-off. Somebody pointed out football season probably should be called the kickoff. Hope you're well. Tomorrow I'll be live at level9sports.com, coming to you back on the radio for Bowler Jack, Locke, and Gerard. I want you to stop by if you're an outdoors person at all. Level9sports.com is incredible. It's a national online site. Australia, New Zealand doing huge business this time of year. As it moves to Labor Day, obviously it switches, and it kind of has Labor Day sales 24/7. They just have amazing deals, big nine brands, Dynastar, Head, Solomon, you name it, Under Armour, all there. And at amazing prices. But the cool thing is they're located out of Utah. So while they serve the country, you can actually go to their warehouse. It's a huge spot. You just come off 6 South and turn right. We're going to be there. I look forward to seeing you. A bunch of things I want to touch on. Let's start with the Big 12 BYU news. Obviously, this continues to go on and on. Scott Gerard's point of view is, why wouldn't you say yes? Well, the reason you wouldn't say yes is if the Big 12 is not going to exist. Scott continually talks about how stable the Big 12 is. I don't disagree with this. I think the invitation to the Pac-12 is still lingering out there. I think one of the untalked about parts about this is Cal and Stanford were very upset that they got separated from USC and UCLA in the North-South division. They put the bylaw in that they play them every year in football, which then irritated Oregon, Oregon State, Washington State, who are longtime Pac-8 members before they joined Arizona, saying, "Hey, we've been separated from USC, UCLA. Everybody wants those. Those are natural rivalries." And there was a level of disconnect inside the original Pac-10 because of the addition of Utah and Colorado. And if they add Texas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State in this new deal, it's the inevitability of the super conference that Larry Scott's always been talking about. And it allows the original Pac-8 to become one conference and then Utah, Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State become the other conference. Kansas is the real loser there. They probably go somewhere with Missouri, and then those other schools, frankly, I think get left out. And BYU gets left out. And so that's the real risk here. Unless the Big 12 can get to 12 again, so add BYU and two others, then I think it's a real concern for BYU to be entering into this conference and making any commitment. That's why you got that innocuous, ridiculous statement yesterday from BYU, because there's nothing for them to comment on yet. And I made a comment to Scotty. I think I was off base on this, that I didn't see the time urgency on this, and I still, it's happening much faster than I think I realized. But I still don't see the time urgency on this. Like, if I'm BYU, I certainly sit back and make sure that 10 and 11 are on board before, and I become 12 rather than becoming 10. It is a shame, though, for BYU. They've done so much and done so many things well that they very well may be left out in the cold here. Okay, number two, I want to hit on today, Utah football. They play Montana State. First thing, Montana State is far better than 5 of Utah's opponents last year. So this is not a pushover. San Jose State, UNLV, New Mexico, Wyoming, Colorado State all lose to Montana State. Utah wins this game, but they all lose. Here are the 3 things to watch. First, style of offense. You're going to see Jordan Wynn under center. That's going to be new. And I think with the questionable offensive line, you're going to see a really quick, darting passing game, trying to get Anderson, Devontae Christopher, Reggie Dunn into plays, making plays, yards after catch, old school West Coast offense style offense. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the Montana State quarterback is really quite good, and he's very short. So the defensive line push. If the defensive line can be moving forward, so he's flush from the pocket the entire time, I think that's the other issue. And then who's this year's Brian Blecken? Last year as we got ready for Utah Pittsburgh, we had never heard of Brian Blecken. So who's going to be this year's Brian Blecken for this ball game? And there's a lot of choices because. Is it John White, the running back? Is it one of these secondary guys? Is it the rookie safety from Houston named Reed? It'll be interesting to see. Final thing I want to touch on today on the tip-off/kickoff is BYU. We'll probably get more into them tomorrow with a look specifically at Mississippi. But big picture for BYU. The one big picture is I'm not as convinced as everyone else about the growth that happened at the end of last year. It was against terrible teams. When they did play teams that were good, the offense didn't explode. I'm a huge believer in Jay Keeps. I think he's going to be fabulous. He's got to learn how to throw a softer ball at times. So that's going to be the first thing I would say you keep an eye on is with Heaps is just his ability to throw some touch. That's his development. That's what Brandon Doman's been working on him with. But I'm not as convinced that this offense is ready to just explode for 60 points like it did because again the teams it was playing were just awful. Mississippi's is not great. Also, Texas is down. Utah is good, not great, and but they're better than anyone they've played. So those first three games, which obviously define this season, Oregon State's on the bottom. I have them ranked, I think, 11th in my power rankings in the Pac-12. Those teams aren't great, but when it really the only time BYU moved the football with a lot of success was against awful football teams, so I'm not as convinced about that progress. And a little bit of the same thing defensively, though. I'd say defensively they were pretty darn good against Utah. And Bronco really did seem to make them turn the corner, and that's the most encouraging thing for me for the BYU season this year, is that consistently in BYU football, what Bronco Mendenhall is able to do is keep teams in front of you, keep teams from making the big plays over the top when they're successful. I mean, when they play at Florida State or Kaepernick or some of these guys that are great, Christian Ponder at Florida State, Andy Dalton at TCU, then they do get over the top and then all this falls apart. But they don't play anyone all year who is that guy, who has that ability level, who's that special, that's going to make BYU just simply be outclassed athletically and physically. That shouldn't happen. And so with Broncos' system, I mean, I don't expect Mississippi to score a lot. I don't even think Texas scores a lot on them, and a lot of them saying anything over 30. And if they can do that, BYU's offense, that's going to be the question: is how good it can really be. And the other one I think is going to be of great curiosity to me is Brandon Doman is going to be a very good offense coordinator, but I don't care how good he's going to be. He's still young and he's still developing. Adjustments in games. How are they first drives of the second halves? How are they first drives of games? How are some of these moments, which is either coaching preparation or coaching reaction, going to show up as a very talented offensive staff with Cahoon and Doman and all these guys, but a young and inexperienced staff that really Lance Reynolds has to take a large role on. He's fabulous, and that should be an asset to it. It's not like they're wandering aimlessly in the desert, but those are some things to keep an eye on. But big picture for BYU, I'm defensively, I don't see anyone that's exploiting them. Offensively, I still think they have a little further to go than we're talking about, and I think part of that, frankly, is Hoffman had a very good year last year. McKay, in my opinion, was okay. I mean, I guess he was the best receiver in that Utah game, but I just was undersold on him last year. And so who are these guys? Is Holt a primary option? When you look at BYU, whether it's all the way back to that Cotton Bowl team with Kaipo and Ko, whether it's more recently with the collection of Austin Collie and and whatever it is, whether it's back to Chad Natula, you knew kind of the pecking order of 3 or 4 wide receivers that were going to get the ball and where they're going. I think the Matthews kid could turn out to be one of them. I want to see, who are those guys? Hoffman is clearly established, and now who does Jake get comfortable with his other guys, and that needs to show itself early. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. It is the kickoff tip-off. See you at level9sports.com, the warehouse. Huge grand opening, Salt Lake address on Friday. I'll be on KJazz TV tonight. Follow me at Locked On Sports on Twitter throughout the game, and send me your thoughts at Locked On Sports as well.